And kicking off hard, we got a potentially explosive fight in the middleweight division with Marvin Vettori and Roman Dolidze. And Marvin Vettori is still on the quest for UFC gold. He's been hovering around the title for years now. In the last 6 years, he's only lost to two guys, former champions Israel Adesanya and Robert Whittaker. But this is definitely a pivotal fight for him because he's coming off of a loss, and he can't lose to a guy below him in the rankings if he wants to have a chance at the title anytime soon. Roman Dolidze is ranked 8th, Marvin is 4th, and a loss to Dolidze would make it 3 losses in Vettori's last 4 fights. So I'm sure Vettori has gotten some renewed vigor as well after seeing Israel lose the belt, and he just has to use that motivation and get back in the win column. For Roman Dolidze, he's taken middleweight by storm. He's won 5 of his last 6 fights since dropping down in weight. His last 3 fights especially have been fantastic, and this is going to be his 3rd fight in 5 months. And he's finished 3 opponents in a row. His last fight was his best win. He took out Jack Hermanson, and now he's getting his opportunity to jump into the top 5. And he's trained his last few fights in Vegas, but for this one he's gone out to Tiger Muay Thai in Thailand, and now Marvin is training in Vegas. So that's a bit an interesting wrinkle to take into account. I don't know if they're training with the same people, but I'm sure Marvin might have gotten a little bit of insight from some guys about Roman. But when you're looking at this matchup, I think it's an interesting one because Marvin, we know what he's going to do. He's a guy that likes to pressure, uses cardio and pace as an advantage. He has pretty good boxing. He's, very, very durable, so he could take shots. And then he wants to take you down, get on top of you, use his ground and pound to open up submissions and eventually finish you. And if he can't finish you, he can grind you out for 3 or 5 rounds. So he's a guy that's tough to deal with. But we've seen people that can use their speed, kind of stick and move on him, and keep him at bay. Have been able to really beat him up. We saw Robert Whittaker really put it on him in his last fight, and you have to kind of wonder mentally what that did to Vettori because he was extremely confident going into that fight and kind of got humbled. So hopefully he could summon it up and be that old Vettori that we're used to seeing in this Dolidze fight. But the main advantages that he has in this fight, in my opinion, are his cardio and his volume on the feet. I think that he needs to try to pressure, try to stay in Roman Dolidze's face to try to make Roman not be able to use those blitzes and get him on the back foot where he can explode in and catch him with something wild. And maybe at the end of the round mixing some takedowns, or once he sees Roman fading, mixing some takedowns, because Roman on the ground is tough to deal with, man. And Vettori is probably working a lot on leg lock defense and a lot of leg entanglements and how to be safe in those areas. But it's going to be tough to deal with a guy like Roman Dolidze, who's very just adept at that, a former ADCC champion and everything like that. So Marvin just has to be on his P's and Q's on the ground. But we've also seen guys like John Alon, we've seen guys like Trevin Giles even be able to defend a little bit of the ground attack and beat up Roman with some ground and pound. So Marvin has that same potential as well. And for Roman Dolidze, he's a guy that on the feet, he's low volume, but when he lets go, he's super powerful, explosive. He's very fast, too, and he's someone that can close the distance really quickly, and his hands are really powerful and quick. So he can close that gap and touch Marvin with some hooks that he doesn't see. Maybe he could be the first guy to hurt Marvin and get him out of there, but obviously that's a tough ask. And Roman, he also has decent head kicks and kicks from the outside, but his last fight, you could tell, like when he fought someone that had good movement and footwork and wasn't staying there for him to explode into, he really struggled to get really any meaningful offense off on the feet, and Jack Hermanson pretty much dominated the majority of the striking. But when Roman can get in there on the inside, when he can get you against the fence, he'll throw some big, heavy knees. He dropped Kyle Dawkins there, and he's just a dangerous guy if he can touch your chin on the feet. And he's shown that on the ground he's super elite, man. He has that ability to kind of chain submissions together. Like his last fight, we saw him attack the arm and then use that to create the opportunity to trap that leg, sweep Hermanson, and finish him with the ground and pound. And we've seen him kind of really hurt Phil Haas's leg with the leg attack and then knock him out. And Roman, if you take him down, you just have to be very aware that he's going to be attacking the legs. He's going to be going for submissions and sweeps. And if he gets on top of you, you're going to be in trouble. So just stay heavy on top, grind him out. And Roman, I don't really necessarily think he has the cardio to compete with Marvin. I don't think he has the volume, and I think he's going to be having to rely on a finish or having to rely on something like his last fight where he can get a sweep and ground and pound or submission off his back or a knockout. But I think long term Marvin just is a little bit too skilled for him on the feet with the boxing, a little bit too skilled for him in the wrestling. He has the cardio advantage and the youth advantage. He has the experience advantage against the superior fighters. So I'm going to go with Vettori via decision in this fight.